Welcome back, friends. The road to Overland Expo West took an interesting turn this year. People have been heading west for a very long time. Different reasons, different vehicles, but the same horizon. In 1859, that journey followed the Beale Wagon Road. More than a century later, I wanted to find out why people are still drawn to roads like these. Sometimes a road is more than a way to get somewhere. It becomes a connection between the people who came before us and the journeys we still make today. That's what brought me to the Beale Wagon Road. Built in the late 1850s, it became one of the first wagon routes across northern Arizona and helped establish the travel corridor that would eventually become the railroad, Route 66, and Interstate 40. More than 160 years later, people are still following the same horizon. For generations, travelers left behind traces of their journey. Today, those records look a little different. When I arrived, the trail register at Law's Spring was full, so I replaced it with a new one. It's just a notebook in a box, but like the names carved in rocks before it, it's a reminder that people are still finding their way here. The names have changed, the vehicles have changed, but the journey continues. As the sun began to set, camp started taking shape. Rooftop tents unfolded, camp kitchens appeared, neighbors introduced themselves. And it was hard not to think about the travelers who once followed the Beale Wagon Road. At the end of a long day, they would have gathered around a fire to prepare a meal and share stories from the trail. More than 160 years later, we're still doing pretty much the same thing. The equipment may have changed, the recipes may have changed, but the ritual remains.
Really good.
Are you the fixer?
I am tonight.
Oh, okay.
We just give them alcohol.
The next morning, I woke up with a question. Why do people overland? The day before, I'd been following a wagon road built more than 160 years ago. Today, I wanted to hear from the people still chasing that same horizon. What were they looking for? And had the answer really changed all that much? I'm here with Jason from Primal Outdoors and Beth from Beth's Midlife Adventures, and I have a question for you two. Why did you get into overlanding?
Am I going first? Okay. Yeah. Well, I would say I started out camping because I was really into hiking, and so I would take my van and do campgrounds, and then the more I started doing that, the more I wanted to actually be away from people and enjoy camping just in the quiet of nature. And so I don't know if you could consider a two-wheel drive van overlanding, but I do take it off-road all the time, and I just love the reset that you get by getting out in nature. And you get to see a lot of places that other people don't get to see when you take your van off the road. So that was important to me.
Well, I think what got me into overlanding is I used to do a lot more backpacking myself, and life kind of changed for me a little bit, and I started taking my two older dogs a little bit more on adventures, but they couldn't do backpacking, so I found myself doing more vehicle camping, which eventually evolved into the overlanding, and I really liked the idea of kind of purpose fitting the vehicle for camping, and I liked getting out a little bit more into remote areas where I was further away from people and the crowds of the more popular areas, yet be able to take advantage of the public land that we have here in the United States, or especially the Western United States, because we have thousands of acres of remote area that allows you to just kind of have that bit of peace that doesn't really come with maybe more popular or campgrounds. Not to say that they're bad, but I just really enjoyed the solitude that came along with, while still being able to get into really beautiful and gorgeous areas.
And the freedom of going places.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by and coming and hanging out with us for a minute.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm here with Chad from Living the Van Life, and I have a quick question.
Absolutely.
What inspired you to start overlanding?
Well, I was born in southern New Mexico, and it was very arid desert, and my parents would take us kids up into the mountains, up into the Gila National Forest, and we would drive dirt roads for days to get to camp spots. And so it was instilled, in me from a very young age. And as I got older and I got my own 4x4 and I got into my van again, just through living the van life, I started driving dirt roads in my old van again, and I realized how much I loved that and how much it reminded me of my childhood. And the more I did it, the more I loved it. And then the filmmaking came into play, and I just really enjoyed telling the story and the adventure of getting down these dirt roads and going out and setting up the campfire and cooking the meals. And it was such a passion of mine that I, wanted to instill that into the YouTube channel and share that experience with everybody else. And now it's just the way I live my life. I go out as far as I can, as long as I can, and stay. It's always nice to come back and have some city life, but I tell you what, being out there long term is where it's at. And there's a big part of me that thinks back to those people who've been traveling in the wagon trains, people that just came through this area in those covered wagons, and it's wild to me to think back to what it must have been like in those times, and the people that came and discovered these areas.
Because this is your wagon.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
it's a lot different than what they had.
Yeah, and to me, overlanding is a way to get back into that old Wild West spirit of coming across the the frontier and discovering places like this.
You're exploring the same land, the exact same land, but in a different way.
Yeah, well, and that's part of what I enjoy doing it solo, is I go out there and I'm in my own thoughts. I always love traveling with other friends and stuff, but it's a different kind of mentality. When you go out there solo, it really puts you in the mentality and just lets you sit and think, especially at the end of the day when you're parked, you got camp set up and you're looking over the view. It's like, man, what would have been like years ago, decades ago, centuries ago to come through this area with nothing but a wagon and, you know, a few horses and some supplies. I mean, that's some hardcore right there. Those are the true overlanders. Well, you know, I often think too when I'm way out in the middle of nowhere, and, you know, we think of what it would be like to come through and find an artifact from centuries ago of, you know, somebody that was there previously. It'd be amazing. And somewhere that I've built a campfire is like, is somebody going to come through 100 years from now and be like, wow, there was some sort of human here, you know, 100 years ago, and here's a remnant. So in a way, you know, we're out there exploring history, but we're also making history at the same time.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I don't know if we did that.
they documented their travels in journals.
Yeah.
We're documenting our travels in video.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's going to reach more people, and you know, the videos are going to be there long after we're gone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, thank you very much.
You bet,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Cheers.
I have an opportunity to meet with Rochelle Croft from Overland, and I'm going to ask her the same question that I've been asking everyone else. Can you tell me why or how you got into overlanding? What drew you into this lifestyle?
Yeah. So I grew up in Montana, and I loved being in the outdoors. It was very natural to me. And when Clay first heard about this whole world called overlanding, I've always loved vehicles. We love being outside. We thought, what a cool thing to be able to put the two together. And I personally love it, and why I keep doing it and why I keep wanting to go further and further into it is because of how I become a better person when I do it. So there's something I'm learning about myself, or I'm learning it about the area that I'm in, or I'm learning how to work with people better. I'm learning how to be a better teammate. I'm learning how to problem solve. I'm learning how to take risks, and when all of those things kind of come together, my confidence goes up, and it allows me to want to go further and further and further and keep exploring.
Well, so that's actually really cool. The reason I asked that is because just outside of Flagstaff, there's an old wagon road from the 1800s called the Beale Wagon Road.
Awesome.
And I guess, for lack of a better term, it was an original overland route before they even knew what overlanding was.
Sure.
And what you just mentioned aligns perfectly with them. They had to improvise on the go. They had to become better people, you know, along the way. They had to improvise. They had to problem solve. I mean, just all of the things that you just mentioned, I would feel would be an everyday part of, you know, a covered wagon.
For sure. And it was survival at that point. So there was no other option but to have to figure it out so you could keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. One more question.
Okay.
I keep seeing stickers and patches that say start somewhere.
Yeah.
What is that?
So it's a very simple term, obviously. There's no kind of hidden meaning behind it. It literally is start somewhere. And I think it was around the year 2017 or 2018, and I like to journal, so I do a lot of journaling. And I was going through a kind of just a personal hard time in my life, and my self-confidence was a little low, and I kind of had, as I was journaling, kind of just my thoughts and like my frustrations in life and things that I wanted to do and things that I wanted to achieve. As I was writing, just the words came out like, well, I just have to start somewhere, and I just need to do it. And that resonated with me because it's short, it's simple, and as you look, I think for me and for a lot of other people, it's really easy to look at a celebrity or someone you admire or someone in business, and you see that they're up here at this level.
Right.
And it's really easy for me to fall into that trap of, well, it's really hard to get there. How do I get there? But if you look back to their story and their origin story, they also had a choice, and they just had to start somewhere. They had to literally just start doing it, whether you're George Clooney or the president or someone in overlanding. We all had the choice to just start doing it.
Right.
And you figure it out as you go.
Do you know Beth from Beth's Midlife Adventures? The YouTube channel?
Yeah.
She just did a talk, and she's relatively new in the YouTube community, but she said the same thing, that when she started, she was watching other people's channels that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and she wanted to be like them. She wanted to be at that level, and it was intimidating.
Sure.
And then finally she just like, no, you just have to start,
Gotta do it.
and don't try to be up here. Start down here and work your way up.
Absolutely.
So
Because every single thing that you go through gets you to that next level. And the other thing too is people relate to people that are just starting out.
okay.
And people are pretty awesome in that we want to get around people and cheer them on in their dreams. And we're watching their mistakes and what they're doing, which is very relatable. So people are learning through you even while you're making mistakes.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I've been trying to make the comparison at this Overland Expo between what we have today and what they had in the 1800s with covered wagons. And I'm just curious, what made you decide to get a trailer instead of another build, and why have you started overlanding?
We finally ended up settling on this trailer specifically because it had the clearance. It was rugged enough to get out away from, off the road, out into different places, beautiful places that we could just kind of set up and see. So far, we've been able to get off. You see a covered wagons. That's an interesting analogy, because they really went across terrain there was no trail that was really blazed for them already. So they had to negotiate obstacles and, rocks, terrain, different things like that. That's kind of what we were looking for, to be able to get out into the places that we wanted. So that's kind of why we settled on this. We wanted everything kind of compact into one unit, that it's got the pop-up kitchen in the back. It's got everything we need just right, all in one unit. If we want to set up shop there and then detach, and then, we can take our rig and head off out onto trails we may have seen along the way or stuff like that. So that's kind of what was a deciding factor for us.
I'm here with Red Rock Overland. I was walking around the campground and I noticed all of your vehicles are positioned in such a way it looked like you were trying to circle the wagons.
Yep.
I'm doing a little bit of a story on how overlanding today compared to the original overlanders in covered wagons from the 1800s.
Okay.
And so I was just curious why you picked a trailer and why you started overlanding.
So the reason I picked the trailer is a lot of she's much more comfortable in a trailer.
And I imagine too, it's you can carry more.
Yes, we can carry more. It's got a queen size bed inside of it.
Okay.
So it's 8-inch mattress. So we're just as comfortable in here as we are at home.
So back in the 1800s in a covered wagon, they used those because they didn't have a choice.
Right.
That's what they had.
Right.
That was their only option.
Yep.
Whereas now with your queen size bed, you have luxuries that they didn't have.
Oh, exactly. For sure.
But yet there's still a lot of similarities.
Yes. Yep.
So, what got you into overlanding?
I like to explore.
Okay.
And I off-road a lot before, and then I started seeing people with trailers and camping and stuff like that, and I was like, I want to do the same thing. And so we go over lots of different trails. Like we've done most of the Midwest or the Southwest.
Okay.
We've done lots of stuff in the Southwest.
Later that morning, I ran into Carol again at the Camp Fawcett. It struck me that places like this aren't all that different from the springs along the Beale Wagon Road. Travelers gathered there for water They shared stories, exchanged information, and prepared for the road ahead. More than 160 years later, we're still doing pretty much the same thing. We're back at your camper. Tell me what you've done.
Okay, well, it's been a work in progress, but this is a custom camper I had made, fabricated in Colorado. I just had the idea from years of overlanding and seeing all kinds of neat rigs and campers, and I knew I didn't want to pull a trailer. And I've got a little old dog, a 14-year-old dog, so I wanted to make it suitable for him. So I pretty much built the camper for my dog. And so I call him Roofy. So it's the Roofacon. It's for him.
Do you go out solo or?
I do.
Mostly solo?
I am 100% solo. I have been for 6 years. In this rig, been working on it for 2 and been full-time in it now for a year.
And what made you want to do that?
Well, it wasn't really by choice, it was by chance. I had gone through a divorce, and I said, you know, time to hit the road. You learn to become a minimalist. People say, how do you live in this rig? I said, you have all the creature comforts of what you need, and you live outside. And we love to hike every day, 4 or 5 miles a day, and just, you just enjoy time in nature. Like I said, I give up a little bit, but I gain a whole lot with accessibility on forest roads and BLM.
How do you decide where to go?
I have been using the Onyx off-road, just word of mouth a lot, run into other overlanders and just follow tracks from what they have taken. And
you're following the tracks of other people.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Just try to get as far away from civilization as possible.
So more or less you just pointed in a direction you want to go, and you just go until you find a place, and then you stop and stay for as long as you want, and then go find a new place.
I try to search out the cool temperatures.
He said, I want attention.
Carol?
Yes.
I want to duck you.
Oh, no way.
So
Is that not awesome?
I've been saving that this whole trip for
Are you kidding?
the Jeep that stood out to me. So
Wow, I love it.
I know it's kind of big, and I know you're a minimalist.
Well, I've got a back seat. She can ride in the back, and then when I get somewhere, I can put her out.
Or if you need to regift it, you can do that too. What I think is actually kind of interesting is that we're practically neighbors in California.
Right.
You live in Morro Bay. I'm in Arroyo Grande, but we have to come all the way to Arizona to meet.
Isn't that the strangest thing? Don't even hang around local. Just go someplace else and then you'll meet your locals, right?
But we will start hanging out locally.
That's right. Right. Yeah, looking forward to that.
You were saying that you're still a novice,
Yep.
when it comes to overlanding. I was just curious what your thoughts are as far as the overlanding community.
Yeah, for sure. This is my third expo, so that's been kind of my experience of overlanding. I haven't gone out but a few times myself, and they were just kind of multi-day camping trips. So I feel like I'm definitely just beginning this journey, and so through like an expo type camping environment, that's where I've been able to see and meet all the other overlanders, and that's where I'm getting the sense of the community and great people from what I've seen so far. And it's just a fantastic culture to be immersed in. And what drew me to it is a number of years back, I took a trip with a Honda Accord to Utah, and I was looking out at the Badlands, and I was like, now that would be a place that would be fun to go. But knowing that I couldn't do it in a Honda Accord, so I was like, how am I going to build something? And so it's been a couple-year journey to try to build out this rig and get it ready. And I know when you go to some of these classes, they're like, you don't keep building and then go. It's like you just get out there and start going. And so you gotta
start somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
After my last interview, I headed back to Laurel Spring. I'd heard a lot of different answers. Some people were searching for adventure, some for connection, some for quiet. And with every conversation, I found myself thinking about the travelers who once passed through this country. What were they searching for? And how different were they from the people I had just met? The more people I talked to at Overland Expo, the more I realized this old wagon road wasn't really a story about history. It was a story about people. People searching for something better over the next hill. A new beginning, adventure, opportunity, and a little peace and quiet. The reasons may have changed over the years, but maybe the search never really did. A toast for our anniversary.
What did you do?
Fun.
Where did you find that?
Does it go? Can you open it and pour us a sip? Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
For generations, travelers passed through the spring on their way west. Wagons became railroads, railroads became highways, highways became overland routes. Different wheels, the same horizon. And maybe that's why roads like this still call to us. Not because of where they lead, but because of what they remind us to look for along the way. Until next time, Breathe deep, wander far, and let the noise wear off.